I never thought my phone buzzing at 11:47 p.m. would reopen wounds my family had spent years pretending didn't exist. The message was short. Unknown number. Can you be my date for my ex's wedding? I stared at it, half asleep, half angry. My ex, Ion, was getting married. I already knew that. My mother had made sure I knew. She mentioned it casually over dinner, the way people mention weather updates. His family invited us, she'd said, not even looking at me. We should go. It would look bad if we didn't. We, as if I hadn't been erased from that family long ago. I typed back without thinking. Me. Wrong number. 3 dots appeared immediately. Unknown number. It's not. This is Arman Qureshi. My breath caught. Everyone knew that name. CEO, billionaire, media's favorite mystery man. The kind of person my family admired from afar. The kind they bragged about knowing even when they didn't. Me. Why would a CEO text me? Arman. Because your ex is marrying my sister. That did it. My chest tightened like someone had wrapped wire around my ribs. So you want revenge? I typed. Hire an actress. Plenty available. The reply took longer this time. Arman. I want peace. And I want my family to stop controlling the narrative. You showing up helps. I laughed out loud. Peace always came at my expense. I put my phone down, told myself to ignore it. But memories flooded in. The way my father had nodded when Ion's parents said I was too outspoken. The way my brother avoided eye contact when they chose my cousin over me for family events. The way my mother told me to compromise so the wedding wouldn't be awkward. I picked the phone back up. Me. You don't even know me. Arman. I know enough. You were blamed for a breakup you didn't cause, and you were quietly cut off so no one else would look bad. My fingers trembled. How do you know that? I whispered to the empty room. Me. What's the catch? Arman. Come as my date. Stay for the ceremony. Smile. Nothing else. I imagined walking into that wedding hall, my family's whispers, my mother's forced smile, Ion's confusion, and maybe, just maybe, the first time no one could pretend I didn't exist. I said yes before fear could stop me. The day of the wedding, my mother froze when she saw me. You're coming? She asked, scanning my dress like it offended her. Before I could answer, a voice cut through the room. She's with me. Arman Qureshi stepped forward, calm, composed, and suddenly every eye turned toward us. My father stood up too fast. My brother looked shocked. My aunt whispered something sharp under her breath. Ion turned around. His smile faltered when he saw me on Arman's arm. And then the music changed. The bride walked in. Arman leaned closer to me and said quietly, "Remember, we stay for the vows." That was when I realized this wasn't just a wedding. It was a battlefield. The hall smelled like roses and expensive lies. As Arman and I walked down the aisle toward the reserved family seats, conversations died mid-sentence. I could feel it. Eyes crawling over my skin, judging, measuring, rewriting my story without asking me a single question. My mother was the first to recover. "Oh," she said brightly, standing up as if rehearsed, "you made it." Her eyes flicked to Arman's watch, then his suit, then his face. Recognition hit her like electricity. "Qureshi?" she asked, voice suddenly sweet. As in, "Yes," Arman replied calmly. "That Qureshi." My father cleared his throat. My brother stood, awkward, unsure whether to shake Arman's hand or bow. No one asked how I was. We sat right in the front row, where everyone could see us. Ion kept glancing back. Each time his eyes met mine, his jaw tightened. His bride, Arman's sister, Zara, noticed too. She leaned over, whispering something sharp to him. He shook his head, pale. Your family didn't know you were coming? Armand murmured. I smiled without humor. They never know anything about me. That's how they like it. The officiant began speaking, but my mother leaned over. Why are you doing this? She whispered through her smile. Do you want people to talk? I looked straight ahead. They always do, just not in front of me. She stiffened. Behind us, I heard my aunt hiss. I told you she'd make this about herself. Armand heard a cue. His posture didn't change, but his hand tightened slightly around mine. Then my father leaned in, voice low and urgent. You should leave after the ceremony. No need to stay for the reception. I finally turned to him. Why? I asked softly. Because, he replied, eyes darting toward Ayan's parents, we don't want tension. Tension. That's what they called years of silence, blame, and sacrifice. Tension. The vows hadn't even started yet. Zara's voice shook as she began reading hers. She talked about loyalty, trust, family unity. The irony was so loud it rang in my ears. Armand leaned closer. Did your family ever apologize to you? He asked quietly. I swallowed. They said I was misunderstood. That was the closest. He nodded slowly, like he was filing something away. Halfway through the vows, my brother stood up suddenly and walked out. My mother followed him with her eyes, panic flashing across her face. What's happening? I whispered. Armand didn't answer immediately. His gaze had shifted to Ayan's parents, who were whispering furiously to my father. Then my phone buzzed. Mom, please don't say anything today. We handled things for your future. My heart pounded. Handled what? Before I could respond, Armand stood. The room froze. He didn't speak yet. He simply looked at the officiant and said, Please continue. We're staying. Ayan's face drained of color. Zara stopped mid-sentence, confusion etched across her face, and my father looked at me, not with anger, but fear. That's when I realized something terrible. My family wasn't worried about embarrassment. They were worried about something being exposed. I thought my family had chosen silence over me, but I was about to discover they had traded something far more valuable, and Armand already knew exactly what it was. The applause after the vows felt forced, like everyone was clapping to convince themselves this was still a happy wedding. I couldn't breathe properly. We handled things for your future. My mother's message echoed in my head. She'd used that line before, when she signed me out of my inheritance, temporarily, when she convinced me not to contest my grandmother's will, when she asked me to step back so my cousin could shine. Handled things always meant removed me. I looked at Armand. You know something, I said under my breath. He didn't deny it. Your family came to me 3 months ago, he said quietly, eyes still on the couple at the altar. They asked for help. My stomach dropped. Help with what? With debt, with reputation, with ensuring this wedding happened smoothly. My fingers curled into my palm. And the price? He finally looked at me then. You. The room tilted. They offered to formally distance themselves from you, Armand continued, voice controlled, almost clinical. Publicly, legally, no claims, no future disputes. I stared at him. That's not, they wouldn't. They already did, he said gently. They signed documents. I felt like I was shrinking, folding in on myself while everyone around me smiled and celebrated. So I'm, what, collateral? Armand's jaw tightened. They thought you wouldn't show up. They thought you wouldn't matter. I laughed softly. It came out broken. They were right. I didn't matter enough to ask. Across the hall, my mother caught my eye. Her smile faltered for half a second, just long enough to confirm everything. The officiant announced the couple is married. Music swelled. People stood. Armand didn't. Neither did I. Ayan turned fully around now, staring at us. He looked confused, then nervous, then angry. He mouthed my name. I shook my head. At the edge of the aisle, my father approached, face tight with forced calm. We need to talk, he said. Do we? I replied. He glanced at Armand, privately. Armand stood smoothly. Anything you want to say to her, you can say in front of me. My father swallowed. This isn't the time. You've made your point. My point? I asked. I didn't even know there was a deal. His eyes flicked away. We did what was necessary. For who? I demanded. For the family, he snapped, then lowered his voice. You were inconvenient. That word sliced deeper than any insult Ion had ever thrown at me. Inconvenient? I repeated. So you erased me? My mother joined us now, eyes pleading. We were protecting you. This life, it's complicated. Powerful people. I'm standing next to one, I said, gesturing to Armand, and he didn't erase me. Armand spoke then, voice calm but carrying. You assumed she'd stay silent. You assumed she'd accept what you decided for her. That was your mistake. My brother returned pale and shaken. Mom, he whispered, the documents? Not now, she hissed. I looked between them. What documents? Armand exhaled slowly. The ones transferring your grandmother's remaining assets, the ones signed in Zara's favor, as a wedding gift. The world went quiet. Ion staggered back a step. What? Zara's head snapped toward him. You said that was settled years ago. My father's face collapsed. And that's when Armand leaned closer to me and said the words that changed everything. They wanted the wedding to secure the transfer. That's why I stayed for the vows. I thought the vows were the end, but they were actually the trigger. And once the paperwork activated, my family realized too late that they'd handed control to the one man who refused to betray me. The applause echoed around us, loud and hollow. Everyone else stood. Armand didn't. When people realized the CEO of Qureshi Holdings was still seated, conversations faltered, heads turned, phones lowered. Even the photographer hesitated, unsure whether to keep shooting. Armand rose slowly, not to congratulate the couple, but to face my family. I won't take much time, he said evenly, but since my name has been involved in several private agreements today, clarity seems appropriate. My mother's face drained of color. This is a wedding, she whispered urgently. Please. Armand smiled politely. That's exactly why timing matters. Zara stiffened. Brother, what are you doing? Armand didn't look at her. His eyes stayed on my father. You requested my company's legal support to finalize asset transfers contingent on marital completion. Those conditions have now been met. Ion looked between them, panic rising. You said this was a family matter. It is, Armand replied, just a larger family than you expected. I felt my legs shake, but I stood beside him. Armand continued. However, the agreements included a non-disclosure clause, one that required full transparency to all affected parties. He turned slightly toward me. You were supposed to be informed. You weren't. A murmur rippled through the hall. My aunt hissed. She's always causing trouble. Armand's gaze snapped to her. No, she's the only one who didn't. My father stepped forward, voice sharp. This isn't your place. Armand tilted his head. It became my place when you tried to trade her silence for solvency. Silence slammed into the room. Zara's voice cracked. Trade her? What does that mean? I finally spoke, my voice steadier than I felt. It means, I said, they signed me away without telling me. My mother reached for my arm. We were going to explain. When? After the reception? Armand raised a hand, gently stopping her. Legally, he said, the transfer is valid, but ethically it's compromised, and reputationally, he paused, it's explosive. Ion swallowed hard. You can't undo it, can you? Armand's smile was calm. No, but I can freeze it. Zara turned on my family. You told me this was clean, that there were no disputes. My father's shoulders slumped. We didn't think she'd come. There it was again, that assumption.
I felt something in me harden. So my absence was part of the plan. You needed me invisible. My brother looked at me, shame written across his face. I didn't know, he whispered. I met his eyes. You never asked. The wedding planner hovered nearby, clearly panicking. Guests were openly staring now. Whispers grew louder. Armand addressed the room calmly. Out of respect for the occasion, he said, I'll keep this brief. The asset transfer will be suspended pending review. Any attempt to enforce it prematurely will result in legal action. My mother gasped. Zara's eyes filled with tears. You ruined my wedding. Armand finally looked at her. No, the lies did. I felt heat rush behind my eyes, but I didn't cry. For the first time in years, I wasn't apologizing for existing. As Armand offered his arm, I took it without hesitation. We walked out together, past my frozen family, past Ayan's stunned face, past whispers that no longer mattered. Outside, the air felt sharp and real. I exhaled shakily. You didn't have to do that. Armand looked at me. Yes, he said, softly. I did. I thought exposing the truth would be the end, but walking out of that hall only triggered the part of the plan my family never imagined, the one Armand had prepared long before I said yes.
My phone started ringing before we even reached the car. I didn't answer. Once, twice, 5 times. My mother, my father, my aunt, even my cousin, the one who used to borrow my clothes and never defend me when it mattered. Armand opened the door for me. You don't owe anyone a response tonight, he said. I know, I replied, but my hands were shaking. As the car pulled away, I looked back at the venue. Laughter had returned, forced and brittle. The wedding continued, but something had cracked beneath the surface. They'll spin this, I said quietly. They always do. Armand nodded. They already tried. I turned to him. What do you mean? They contacted my legal team the moment we stepped outside, he said. They want to renegotiate, claim misunderstanding, blame emotions. I let out a short laugh. Blame me. Of course. We drove in silence for a moment. Then he added, they also asked if you were willing to sign a clarification statement. My chest tightened. Clarifying what? That you were aware, that you consented. I shook my head. So they can sleep at night? So they can keep control, he corrected. When we reached my apartment, Armand didn't come inside. He didn't push. He simply handed me a folder. Read this when you're ready, he said. It's everything they signed and everything they didn't think you'd see. That night, I didn't sleep. I read every page. They had planned my silence meticulously. Timelines, signatures, even a clause about minimizing my public presence at future family events. I wasn't a daughter or a sister in those documents. I was a risk. At dawn, my brother finally called. I didn't know, he said, voice raw. I believe you, but belief doesn't undo damage. There was a pause. They're saying you humiliated them, that you destroyed Zara's wedding. I didn't speak until I had to. They did the rest. Later that day, my mother showed up unannounced. She looked smaller somehow, tired. We raised you better than this, she said. I stared at her. You raised me to disappear quietly. I just stopped. She flinched. You don't understand what we were protecting you from. Power ruins people. Then why did you chase it? I asked. Her eyes filled with tears, but I learned tears weren't always regret. Sometimes they were just fear of consequences. I'm asking you, she said softly, to fix this. I shook my head. I can't fix what I didn't break. After she left, Armand called. They're pressuring Zara to pressure me. Family politics. I'm sorry, I said. This was supposed to be simple. It was never going to be, he replied. But it was necessary.
There was a pause. "You know," he added, "they underestimated you more than anyone." I swallowed. I underestimated myself. For the first time, I realized something terrifying and freeing. I didn't need them to choose me anymore. I already had. I thought walking away meant losing everything, but when my family made one final demand, I discovered they'd forgotten one detail. My name was still attached to something they couldn't afford to lose.
The email arrived at 6:12 a.m. No greeting, no warmth, just urgency dressed up as politeness. Subject: immediate clarification required. My father wanted me to attend a private meeting. No lawyers, no outsiders, just family. The tone alone told me everything. They weren't asking. "They're trying to corner you," Armin said when I forwarded it to him. "I know," I replied. "That's why I'm going." The conference room they'd chosen belonged to a mid-tier investment firm. Neutral ground, they thought. Safe, familiar. When I walked in, everyone was already seated. My parents, my aunt, even Zara, her wedding glow replaced by exhaustion. No one offered me a chair. I took one anyway. My father spoke first. "We need you to sign a public statement." "There it is," I said calmly. "It will say you were aware of the arrangements," my aunt added, "that there was no coercion." "And in return?" I asked. My mother leaned forward. "We restore your position in the family." I almost laughed. "I don't want a position," I said. "I wanted honesty." Zara rubbed her temples. "This mess is affecting my marriage," she said. "Sponsors are nervous. Investors are asking questions." I met her gaze. "You married into a lie. That wasn't my doing." My father slammed his palm on the table. "You don't understand the stakes." "I do now," I replied. "You need my name." Silence. They all froze. My brother exhaled sharply, like the truth had finally landed. "You listed me as a silent beneficiary on 3 legacy accounts. You used my name to stabilize investor confidence because I was the only one without public scandals." My mother's lips parted. "That was temporary." "No, that was leverage." I stood. "You can't move forward without me. You can't finalize anything. And if you force this, every document becomes discoverable." My father's shoulders sagged. "What do you want?" I didn't answer immediately. I thought about every birthday missed, every apology that never came, every time I'd been told to be patient, quiet, understanding. "I want my name removed," I said, "from your deals, from your narratives, from your excuses." Zara looked horrified. "That will destabilize everything." "Good," I replied. My mother reached for me. "You'll destroy us." I stepped back. "You did that the moment you decided I was expendable." When I left, my phone buzzed again. "Armin, proud of you." I sat in my car, hands on the wheel, heart racing. For the first time, they couldn't threaten me with abandonment. They needed me more than I needed them. That evening, the news broke quietly. Not headlines, whispers. Deals paused, accounts reviewed, questions asked, and every question led back to the same thing: me. I wasn't invisible anymore. I was unavoidable. I thought reclaiming my name would finally set me free, but when Armin made one unexpected choice of his own, I realized the wedding had never been the end of our story. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous. I didn't hear from my family for 3 days. No calls, no messages, no dramatic apologies or angry ultimatums, just silence, the kind they used when they realized control had slipped through their fingers. On the 4th day, Armand asked me to dinner. Not a business dinner, not a strategy meeting, just dinner. We sat across from each other in a quiet place where no one cared who he was or who I used to be. For the first time since the wedding, I felt normal. "I need to tell you something," he said after a while. I nodded. "So do I." He gestured for me to go first. "I didn't agree to be your date to make a statement," I said.
I agreed because I was tired of being erased. He smiled faintly. I know. My family will never really understand what they did. They'll say it was business, survival, love even. Armand's eyes softened. Some families confuse control with care. Then he took a breath. I stayed for the vows, he said, because I needed the agreements to activate, but I stayed longer than I planned. I looked at him. Why? Because halfway through, he admitted, I stopped thinking about leverage and started thinking about you. The words landed quietly, but they stayed. I could have left after the ceremony, handled everything from a distance, but I wanted you to hear the truth. I wanted you to see them when they couldn't hide anymore. I swallowed. You didn't have to protect me. I know, he said. I chose to. That night, the final paperwork cleared. My name was officially removed from every deal, every account, every carefully constructed narrative. I was free. The next morning, my brother showed up. I lost my job, he said quietly. They needed someone to blame. I studied his face. Are you here for help or forgiveness? He hesitated. I don't know. I nodded. That's honest. It's a start. We sat in silence for a while. Later that day, my mother sent one last message. We did what we thought was right. I didn't reply. Some explanations arrived too late to matter. Weeks passed. The wedding became a rumor, then a cautionary tale. Zara and Ayan moved overseas. My parents retreated into privacy. The family image they'd guarded so fiercely finally collapsed, softly, quietly, without me lifting a finger. And Armand? He never asked me to become part of his world. He asked me what kind of world I wanted. I chose one where my worth wasn't negotiable, where love didn't require silence, where staying didn't mean surrendering. The day someone asked me if I regretted going to my ex's wedding, I smiled. No, I said. That was the day I stopped being an afterthought. Because the CEO didn't just say yes, he stayed. And for the first time in my life, so did I.